Yeah. Yeah, what's going on, y'all? And today we're gonna be doing the entire Bible series again. And it didn't upload yesterday, so you already know what that means. 10 chapters. And yeah, that's it. Alright, let's get it. The murmuring of Miriam and Aaron. Now, oh shoot. My keyboard unplugged, and I thought that was a mic, but it wasn't. Now Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, has the Lord really spoken only through Moses? Has he not also spoken through us? And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very humble, gentle, kind, devoid of self-righteousness, more than any man who was on the face of the earth. Suddenly the Lord said to Moses, Aaron and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of meeting, tabernacle. And three of them came out. The Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the doorway of the tabernacle. And he called Aaron and Miriam, and they came forward. And he said, hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known to him in a vision, and I will speak to him in a dream. But it is not so with my servant Moses. He is entrusted and faithful in all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth directly, clearly, and openly, and not in riddles. And he beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Miriam and Aaron, and he departed. But when the cloud had withdrawn from the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous, as white as snow. And Aaron turned and looked at Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Then Aaron said to Moses, Oh, my Lord, I plead with you, do not account this sin to us, in which we have acted foolishly and in which we have sinned. Oh, do not let her be like one dead, already half decomposed when he comes from his mother's womb. So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, Heal her, please, O God. I plead with you. But the Lord said to Moses, If her father had but spit in her face, would she not bear her shame for 7 days? Let her be shut outside the camp for 7 days, and afterward she may return. So Miriam was shut up outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on until Miriam was brought in again, and declared ceremonially clean from her leprosy, whatever. Afterward, the people moved on from Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. Spies, feudal land. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am going to give to the sons of Israel. From each of their fathers' tribes you shall send a man, every one a leader among them. So Moses sent spies from the wilderness of Paran at the command of the Lord. All of them who all of them men who were heads of the Israelites. What is that? Is that the correct translation? These were their names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shammah, the son of Zakur. From the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori. From the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. From the tribe of Issachar, Egal, the son of Joseph. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, that is Joshua, the son of Nun. From the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, the son of Raphu. From the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Sodi. From the tribe of Joseph, that is of the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi, the son of Suzi. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gimelai. From the tribe of Asher, Sether, the son of Michael. From the tribe of Naphtali, the son of Vophsi. From the tribe of Gad, Jeuel, the son of Maki. These are the names of whom Moses sent to spy out the land. But Moses called Hoshea the son of Nun, Joshua, the Lord is salvation. Moses sent them to spy out on the land of Canaan and say to them, "Go up this way in the Negev, the south country, then go up in the hill country. Seek what the land is like and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many, and whether the land in which they live is good or bad, and whether the cities in which they live are open camps or fortifications, and whatever the land is, whether it is fat, productive, or lean, whether there is timber on it or not, make an effort to get some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. So so they went up and spied out on the land from the wilderness of Zin to Rehob, a town in Lebanon, at Lebo Hamath in the far north. When they had gone up into the Negev, the south country, they came to Hebron, and Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, were there. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. Then they came to the valley of Eshcol, cluster of grapes, and from there cut down a branch with a singular cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them, with some of pomegranates and the figs. That place was called the valley of Eshcol, cluster of grapes, because the cluster of grapes which the sons of Israel cut down there.
The spies' reports. When they returned from spying out the land at the end of 40 days, they came to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh, and brought back word to them and all the congregation, and showed them the land's fruit. They reported to Moses and said, "We went in to the land where you sent us, and it clearly does flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. But the people who lived in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified, walled, and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak, or Anak, people of great stature and courage. The people descended from Amalek live in the land of Negev, south country. The Hittite, the Jebusite, and the Amorite live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the Dead Sea and along the side of the Jordan." Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and take possession of it, for we will certainly conquer it." But the men who had gone with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people of Canaan, for they are too strong for us." So they gave the Israelites a bad report about the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we went in spying it out, it is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature." Then we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, are part of the Nephilim, and were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. Oh, so they had giants. That's not fair. They're cheating. They had entire giants, dude. That's freaking cheating, man. Alright. The people were... Uh-oh. Whoa. Hold on, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. This ain't good. Then all the congregation of Israel raised their voices and cried out, and the people wept that night. All the Israelites murmured in discontent against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, "Oh, that we had died in the land of Egypt, or that we had died in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land of Canaan to fall by the sword? Our wives and children will become plunder. Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt?" So they said to one another, "Let us appoint a new leader and return to Egypt." First of all, God never even told you to go to the land of Canaan, but alright. See, when people are emotional, they just make up stuff. Like we all know that. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the Israelites. Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes as a sign of grief. And they spoke to all the congregation of the sons of Israel, saying, "The land through which we passed as spies is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they will be our prey. Their protection has been removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them." But the congregation said to stone Joshua and Caleb with stones. But the glory and brilliance of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting, tabernacle, before all the sons of Israel. Moses pleads before the people. The Lord said to Moses, see all the characters here. How long, how long will these people treat me disrespectfully and reject me? And how long will they not believe in me? Despite all the miraculous signs which I have performed among them, I will strike them with the pestilence plague and dispossess them, and I will make you into a nation greater and mightier than they. But Moses said to the Lord, "Then the Egyptians will hear of it, for by your strength you brought up these people from among them, and they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land. They have heard that you, Lord, are among the people of Israel, that you, Lord, are seen face to face while your cloud stands over them, and that you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and in a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you kill these people as one man, then the nations, Gentiles, that have heard of your fame will say, because the Lord was not able to bring these people into the land which he promised to them, therefore he slaughtered them in the wilderness. But now, please, let the power of the Lord be great, just as you have declared, saying the Lord is so slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, forgiving wickedness and transgression. But he will by no means clear the guilty, avenging the wickedness and guilt of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations, that is, calling the children to account for their sins of their fathers. Please pardon the wickedness and guilt of these people according to the greatness of your loving kindness, just as you have forgiven these people from Egypt even until now. The Lord pardons and rebukes. So the Lord said, I have pardoned them according to your word. But indeed, as I live, all the earth will be filled with the glory of the Lord. Surely all the men who have seen my glory and my miraculous signs, which I have performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have put me to the test these 10 times, and have not listened to my voice, I will that does not say I, will by no means see the land which I swore to give to their fathers, nor will any who treated me disrespectfully and rejected me see it. But my father, not father. What am I talking? But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land of which he entered, and his descendants shall take possession of it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites lived in the valley. Tomorrow turn and set out for the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, how long shall I put up with this evil congregation who murmur and discontent against me? I have heard the complaints of the Israelites, which they are making against me. Say to them, as I live, says the Lord, just what you have spoken in my hearing, I will most certainly do to you. Your dead bodies will fall into this wilderness, even all who were numbered of you, your entire number from 20 years old and upward who have murmured against me. except for Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun. No, not one of you shall enter the land of which I swore an oath to settle you, but your children whom you said would become plunder, I will bring in, and they will know the land which you have despised and rejected. But as for you, your dead bodies will fall in this wilderness. Your sons shall be wanderers and shepherds in the wilderness for 40 years, and they will suffer for your unfaithfulness, spiritually infidently, infidelity. Come on, spiritual infidelity, until your corpses are consumed in the wilderness. According to the number of days in which you spied out the land of Canaan, 40 days for each you shall bear and suffer a year for your sins and guilt for 40 years, and you shall know my displeasure, the revoking of my promise, and my estrangement because of your sin. I, the Lord, have spoken. I will most certainly do this to all this evil congregation who are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed by war, disease, and plagues, and here they shall die. As for the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, and who returned and made all the congregation murmur and complain against him by bringing back a bad report concerning the land, even those 10 men who brought back the very bad report of the land died by a plague before the Lord. But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive out of those men who went to spy out the land. Israel repulsed. Moses spoke the Lord's words to all the Israelites, and the people mourned greatly. And they got up early in the morning and went up to the ridge of the hill country, saying, Look, here we are. We have indeed sinned, but we will go up to the place which the Lord has promised. But Moses said, Why then are you transgressing the commandment of the Lord when it will not succeed? Do not go up, or you will be do not go up, or you will be struck down before your enemies. For the Lord is not among you. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites will be there in front of you, and you will fall by the sword, because you have turned away from following the Lord. Therefore, the Lord will not be there with you. But, in their arrogance, they dared to go up to the ridge of the hill country. However, neither the ark of the covenant of the Lord nor Moses left the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived in that hill country came down and struck the Israelites and scattered them as far as Hormah. Dude. Laws for Canaan. Now, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, When you come into the land where you are to live, which I am giving you, and make an offering by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering or a sacrifice to fulfill a special vow or as a freewill offering, or in your appointed feasts to make a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord, from the herd or from the flock. The one who presents his offering shall present to the Lord a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil, and you shall prepare wine for the drink offering, 1/4 of a hin with the burnt offering for the sacrifice, for each lamb. Or for a ram you shall prepare as a grain offering 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil. As for the drink offering, you shall offer 1/3 of a hin of wine as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. When you prepare a bull as a burnt offering, or as a sacrifice in fulfilling a special vow or peace offering to the Lord, then you shall offer with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with half a hin of oil, And you shall bring as the drink offering 1/2 a hin of wine as an offering by fire, a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. Thus it be done for each bull, or for each ram, or for each of the male lambs, or of the goats, according to the number that you prepare. So shall you do to everything according to their number, and who are native born shall do these things in this way, in presenting an offering by fire, as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. Law of the strangers. If a stranger lives as a resident alien with you, or whoever may be among you throughout your generations, and he wishes to make an offering by fire as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord, just as you do, so shall he do. As for the assembly, there shall be one and the same statute for you of the congregation, and for the stranger who is a resident alien with you, a permanent statute throughout your generations. As you are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. There is to be one law and one ordinance for you and for the stranger who lives with you as a resident alien. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, When you enter the land to which I am bringing you, then when you eat the food of the land, you shall lift up an offering, heave offering, to the Lord. You shall lift up a cake made of the first of your ground grain which has been made into dough, as an offering to the Lord. As an offering from the threshing floor, so shall you lift it up. From the first of your dough, ground grain, you shall give to the Lord an offering throughout your generations. But when you unintentionally fail and do not observe all these commandments, which the Lord has spoken to Moses, even all that the Lord gets commanded you through Moses from the day that the Lord gave commandments and onward throughout your generations, then it shall be, if it was done unintentionally without knowledge of the congregation, that is, all the congregation shall offer one young bull as a burnt offering, as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord, with its grain offering and its drink offering, according to the ordinance, and one male goat as a sin offering. Then the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the sons of Israel, and they will be forgiven. For it was an error, and they did not. Then they have brought their offering, and by offering by fire to the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord, for their error. So all the congregation of the Israelites will be forgiven, as well as the stranger who lives among them as a resident alien, because all the people were involved in the error. Also, if one person sins unintentionally, then he shall offer a female goat 1 year old as a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement before the Lord for the person who commits an error when he sins unintentionally, make an atonement for him so that he may be forgiven. You shall have one law for him who sins unintentionally, whether he is native born among the Israelites or a stranger who is living among them as a resident alien. But the person who does anything wrong willfully and defiantly, when he is native born or a stranger, that is, one blaspheming the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from among his people, excluding him from the atonement made for them, because he has despised and rejected the word of the Lord, and has broken his commandment. That person shall be utterly cut off. The responsibility for his wickedness and guilt will be upon him. Sabbath breaking punished. Now, while the Israelites were in the wilderness, they found a man who was gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation, and they put him in custody because because it had not been explained by God what should be done to him. Then the Lord said to Moses, This man shall certainly be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. So all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death with stones, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the sons of Israel and tell them to make for themselves tassels on the hems of their garments throughout their generations, and put a cord of blue on the tassel of each hem. It shall be a tassel for you to look and remember all the commandments of the Lord, to do them, so that you do not follow after the desires of your own heart and desires, after which you used to follow and play the prostitute, so that you may remember to do all the commandments and be holy, set apart to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. Korah's rebellion. Now Korah, the son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan, and Abiram, the son of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, descendants of Reuben, took action, and they rose up in rebellion before Moses, together with some of the Israelites. 250 leaders of the congregation chosen in the assembly, men of distinction. They assembled together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone far enough, for all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" And when Moses heard this, he fell face downward, and he spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, "In the morning the Lord will show who belongs to him, and the Lord will show who belongs to him, and who is holy, and will bring him near to himself. The one who he will choose, he will bring near to himself. Do this: take censers for yourself, Korah and all your company. Then put fire in them, and place incense on them in the presence of the Lord tomorrow. And the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the one who is holy. You have gone far enough, your sons of Levi. You sons of Levi. Then Moses said to Korah, "Hear now, you sons of Levi. Does it seem but a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before him in before the congregation to minister to them, and that he has brought you near to him? Korah and all your brothers, sons of Levi, with you? Would you seek the priesthood also? Therefore, you and all your company are gathered together against the Lord. But as for Aaron, who is he that you murmur against him?" Then Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said defiantly, "We will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land of plenty, flowing with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness? But you would also lord it over us? Indeed, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you gouge out the eyes of these men? We will not come up." Then Moses became very angry and said to the Lord, "Pay no attention to their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I harmed any one of them." Moses said to Korah, "You and all your company are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, both you and they along with Aaron. Each of you take his censer and put incense on it, and each of you bring his censer before the Lord, 250 censers. Also, you and Aaron shall each bring his censer." So they took his own censer and put fire on it and laid incense on it. And they stood at the doorway of the tent of meeting, tabernacle, with Moses and Aaron. Then Korah assembled all the congregation against Moses and Aaron at the doorway of the tent of meeting, tabernacle. And the glory and brilliance of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from among this congregation, so that I may consume them immediately." But they fell on their faces before the Lord and said, "Oh God of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, you will be angry with the entire congregation?" Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to the congregation, get away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Then Moses arose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he said to the congregation, "Get away from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, or you will be swept away in all their sin." So they got back from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the doorway of their tents with their wives and their sons and their little children like idiots. Sorry. Then Moses said, "By this you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works, for I do not act of my own accord. If these men die the common death of all mankind, or if what happens to everyone, what happens to everyone happens to them, then you will know for sure that the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord creates an entirely new thing, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up along with all that belongs to them, and they descend alive into Sheol, the place of the dead, then you will understand that these men have spurned and rejected the Lord." Yes, intense. As soon as Moses finished speaking all these words, the ground underneath them split open, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, and all the men who supported Korah with all their possessions. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive to Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from among the assembly. All Israel who were around them fled at their outcry, for they said, "The earth may swallow us also." Fire also came forth from the Lord and consumed 250 men who were offering the incense. Dang. Yo. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, that he is to pick up the censers from the midst of the blaze, for they are holy, and you scatter the burning coals abroad. As for the censers of these people who have sinned at the cost of their lives, have the censers made into hammered sheets as a plating for the altar of burnt offering. For they were presented before the Lord, and they are sacred. They shall be a warning sign to the sons of Israel." So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers which the Levites who were burned had offered, and they were hammered out into broad sheets as a plating for the bronze altar of burnt offering, as a reminder to the sons of Israel, so that no layman, that is, one who is not of the descendants of Aaron, should approach to offer incense before the Lord, so that he will not become like Korah and all his company, just as the Lord had said to him through Moses. Murmuring and plague. But on the next day, the entire congregation of the Israelites murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have caused the death of the people of the Lord." When the congregation was assembled against Moses and Aaron, they turned and looked at the tent of meeting, tabernacle, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the brilliance of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came to the front of the meeting, tabernacle, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from among this congregation, so that I may consume them immediately." Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces in silence before the Lord. Moses said to Aaron, "Take a censer and put fire in it from the altar and light incense on it. Then bring it quickly to the congregation and make atonement for them. For wrath has gone forth from the Lord. The plague has begun." So Aaron took the burning censer as Moses commanded and ran to the midst of the assembly. And behold, the plague had already begun among the people. And he put forth incense and made atonement for the people. He stood between the dead and the living, so that the plague was brought to an end. But those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died because of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moses at the doorway of the tent of meeting, tabernacle, for the plague had been brought to an end. Then the Lord, or Aaron's rod buds. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and get rods from them, a rod for each father's household, for all their leaders according to their father's household, 12 rods. Write every man's name on his rod, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, his ancestor. For there is one rod for the head of each of their father's households. You shall then deposit them in the tent of meeting, tabernacle, in front of the ark of the testimony, where I meet with you. It shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose will bud, and I will no longer hear the constant grumblings of the Israelites, who are grumbling against you. So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a rod, one for each leader according to their fathers' households. 12 rods, and the rod of Aaron was among their rods. So Moses deposited the rods before the Lord in the tent of the testimony tabernacle. Now the next on on the next day Moses went into the tent of the testimony, and the rod of Aaron of the tribe of Levi had sprouted and put out buds and produced blossoms and yielded ripe almonds. Moses brought out all the rods from the presence of the Lord to all the Israelites, and they looked at and each man took his rod. But the Lord said to Moses, put Aaron's rod back before the testimony in the ark, to be kept as a warning sign for the rebellious and contentious, so that you may put an end to their murmurings of discontent against me, so that they do not die. They do not die. And Moses did so, just as the Lord had commanded him. So he did. The sons of Israel said to Moses, look, we perish. We are doomed, all doomed. Everyone who approaches the tabernacle of the Lord must die. Are we to perish completely? Also, I find this interesting right here, so that they do not die. So this entire time, we already know this, but for the people who are skeptical, I guess, this entire time, uh, God didn't want them to die, but because of how righteous and holy He is, He was like, okay, fine. You don't want to be with me, then you don't have to. You don't have to be with me, and that was basically it, I guess. Duties of the Levites. I kind of forgot about y'all. So the Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons and your father's household family will with you shall bear the guilt in connection with the sanctuary, that is, through your service as priest. You will atone for the offenses which the people unknowingly commit when brought into contact with the manifestations of God's presence. And you and your sons with you shall bear the guilt in connection with your priesthood, that is, your own unintentional offenses. But bring with you also your brothers, the tribes of Levi, the tribe of your father ancestor, so that they may join with you and serve you as assistants, while you and your sons will with you are before the tent of the testimony, the holy place where only priests may go, and the holy and the most holy place in the most holy place which one bro, what was happening? In the most holy place which only the high priest may enter, and the Levites shall attend to your duty as assistants, and to the duties of all the tent tabernacle. Only then shall not approach the articles of the sanctuary and the altar, or both they and you will die. Then they shall join you and attend to the duties of the tent of meeting, all the service of the tent, and no stranger, no layman, anyone who is not a Levite may approach you and your sons. So you shall attend to the duties of the sanctuary and the duties of the altar of burnt offering and the altar of incense, so that there will no longer be wrath on the Israelites, as with Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Behold, I myself have taken your fellow Levites from among the sons of Israel. They are a gift to you, given dedicated to the Lord to the service for the tent of meeting tabernacle. Therefore, you and your sons with you shall attend to your priesthood for everything concerning the altar,
a burnt offering, any altar of incense, and of the Holy of Holies within the veil, and you are to serve. I am giving you the priesthood as a bestowed service, but the stranger outside of Laman who approaches shall be put to death. The priest's portion. Then the Lord spoke to Aaron. Now, behold, I, the Lord, have entrusted you. My mic's still on, right? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Have entrusted you with my heave offerings, even all the holy gifts of the Israelites. I have given them to you as a portion, and to your sons as a continual atonement. This shall be yours of the most holy things, reserved from the fire, every offering of the people, every grain offering, and sin offering, and guilt offering, which they shall give to me, shall be most holy for you and your sons. You shall eat it as the most holy thing. Every male of your family shall eat it. It shall be holy to you. This also is yours, the heave offering of their gift, including all the wave offerings of the Israelites. I have given them to you and to your sons and to your daughters with you as continual atonement. Allotment. That does not say atonement, it says allotment. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. All the best of the fresh olive oil, and all the best of the new wine and of the grain, the first fruits of which they give to the Lord, I give them to you. The first ripe fruits of all that is in the land, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. Every devoted thing in Israel, everything that it has been promised to the Lord with an oath, shall be yours. Every firstborn of the womb of all flesh, whether it is man or animal, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man you shall most certainly redeem, and the firstborn of unclean animals you shall redeem, and their redemption price from a month old you shall redeem according to your valuation, for the fixed price of 5 shekels in silver, in accordance with the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstborn of a cow or of a sheep or of a goat you shall not redeem. They are holy and belong to the Lord. You shall sprinkle their blood on the altar, and shall offer up their fat and smoke as an offering by fire for a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. Their meat shall be yours, like the breast of a wave offering, and like the right thigh. All the offerings of the holy things which the Israelites offer to the Lord, I have given to you and to your sons and your daughters with you as a continual atonement. It is an everlasting covenant of salt that cannot be dissolved or violated before the Lord, to you and to your descendants with you. Then the Lord said to Aaron, You shall have no inheritance in the land of the Israelites, nor have any portion of the land among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. Behold, I have given the Levites all the tithe in Israel as an inheritance, in return for their service which they perform in the service of the tent of meeting, tabernacle. The Israelites shall never again approach the tent of meeting, the covered sanctuary, the holy place, and the holy of holies, or they who do will incur sin and die. Only the Levites shall perform the service of the tent of meeting, tabernacle, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that the Levites shall have no inheritance of land among the children of Israel. But the tithe of the Israelites which they present as an offering to the Lord, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore, I have said to them, They shall have no inheritance among the children of Israel. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Moreover, you shall speak to the Levites and say to them, when you take from the Israelites the tithe which I have given to you from them as your inheritance, then you shall present an offering from it to the Lord, and
tithe of the tithe paid by the people. Your offering shall be credited to you as the grain offering from the threshing floor, or as full produce from the wine vat. Likewise, you shall also present an offering to the Lord from all your tithes, which you received from the Israelites, and from it you shall give the Lord's offering to Aaron the priest. Out of all your gifts you shall present every offering due to the Lord from all the best of it, even the sacred part from them. Therefore you shall say to them, when you have offered the best from it, then the rest shall be credited to the Levites as the product of the threshing floor, and as the product of the wine vat. You may eat it anywhere, you and the members of your households, for it is your compensation in return for your service in the tabernacle. You will bear no sin because of it when you have offered the best of it, but you shall not profane the sacred gifts of the children of Israel, or you will die because of it. Ordinance of the red heifer. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the statute of law which the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you an unblemished red heifer, in which there is no defect, and on which a yoke has never been placed. You shall give it to Eleazar the priest, and it shall be brought outside the camp and be slaughtered at his presence. Next, Eleazar the priest shall take some of its blood with his fingers, and sprinkle some of it towards the front of the tent of meeting 7 times. Then the heifer shall be burned in his sight, its skin, its flesh, its blood, and its waste shall be burned, reduced to ash. The priest shall take cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet material, and cast them into the midst of the burning heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterward come into the camp. But he shall be ceremonially unclean until evening. The one who burns the heifer shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and shall be unclean until evening. Now a man who is ceremonially clean shall collect the ashes of the heifer, and deposit them outside the camp in a clean place. And the congregation of the Israelites shall keep it for water to remove impurity. It is to be used for purification from sin. The one who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. This shall be a perpetual statute to the Israelites and to the stranger who lives as a resident alien among them. The one who touches the dead body of any person shall be unclean for 7 days. That one shall purify himself from uncleanness with the water made with the ashes of the burned heifer on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, and then he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, he will not be clean. Whoever touches a corpse, the body of anyone who has died, and does not purify himself, defiles the tabernacle of the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from Israel, that is, excluded from the atonement made for them. Because the water for impurity was not sprinkled on him, he shall be unclean. His uncleanness is still on him. This is the law when a man dies in a tent. Everyone who comes into the tent and everyone who is in the tent shall be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. Every open container in the tent which has no covering tied down to it is unclean. Tied down on it is unclean. Also, anyone in the open field who touches one who has been killed with a sword, or who has died of natural causes, or a human bone or a grave shall be unclean for 7 days. Then for the unclean person they shall take some of the ashes of the heifer burnt for the purification from sin, and running water shall be added to them in a container. A clean person shall take hyssop and dip it in the water and sprinkle it on the tent and on all the furnishing
and on the people who were there. And on the one who touched the bone, or the one who was killed, or the one who died naturally, or the grave, then the clean person shall sprinkle the water for purification on the unclean person on the third day and on the seventh day. And on the seventh day the unclean man shall purify himself and wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and shall be ceremonially clean after evening. But the man who is unclean and does not purify himself, that person shall be cut off from among the assembly, because he has defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water for purification has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. So it shall be a perpetual statute for him. He who sprinkles the water for impurity on another shall wash his clothes, and he who touches the water for impurity shall be unclean until evening. Furthermore, anything the unclean person touches shall be anything unclean person shall be unclean, and anyone who touches it shall be ceremonially unclean until evening. Death of Miriam. Then the Israelites, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month, in the 40th year after leaving Egypt. And the people lived in Kadesh. Miriam died and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered together against Moses and Aaron for no reason. The people contended with Moses and said, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished in the plague before the Lord. Why have you brought up the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness to die here, we and our livestock? Why have you made us come from Egypt to bring us to this wretched place? It is not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the doorway of the tent of meeting, tabernacle, and fell on their faces before the Lord in prayer. Then the glory and brilliance of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "The water of Meribah. Take the rod, and you and your brother Aaron assemble the congregation, and speak to the rock in front of them, so that it will pour out its water. In this way you shall bring water from them out of the rock, and let the congregation and their livestock drink fresh water." I feel like I know where this is going. So Moses took the rod from before the Lord, just as he had commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly before the rock. Moses said to them, "Listen now, you rebels. Must we bring you water out from this rock?" Then Moses raised his hand in anger, and with his rod he struck the rock twice, instead of speaking to the rock as the Lord had commanded. And the water poured out abundantly, and the congregation and their livestock drank fresh water. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Okay, because you have not believed, trusted me to treat me as holy in the sight of the sons of Israel, you therefore shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given to them. These are the waters of Meribah, contention, strife, where the sons of Israel contended with the Lord, and he showed himself holy among them." Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel, "You know all the hardship that has come upon us as a nation, that our fathers' ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived there for a long time. And the Egyptians treated both us and our fathers badly. But when we cried out to the Lord for help, he heard us and sent an angel and brought us out of Egypt. Now look, we are in Kadesh, a city on the edge of your territory. Please let us pass through your land. We will not pass through a field, through a vineyard. We will not even drink water from a well. We will go along the king's highway, not turning off course to the right or to the left until we have passed through your territory." But the king of Edom said to him, "You shall not pass through my territory, or I will come against you with the sword." Again the Israelites said to him, "We will go by the highway, trade route, and if I and my livestock drink any of your water, then I will pay for it. Only let me pass through on on foot, nothing else." But the king of Edom said, "You shall not pass through my territory." And Edom came out against Israel with many people and a strong hand. Thus the king of Edom refused to give Israel passage through his territory. So Israel turned away from him. Now, when they set out from Kadesh, the Israelites, the whole congregation, came to Mount Hor, whatever. Death of Aaron. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron. Dang, Aaron was like a main character, bro. You for real? Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron at Mount Hor by the border of the land of Edom, saying, "Aaron will be gathered to his people in death, for he shall not enter the land which I have given to the children of Israel, because you both rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar, his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar, his son. So Aaron will be gathered to his fathers and will die there." So Moses did just as the Lord had commanded him, and they went up Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. After Moses stripped Aaron of his priestly garments and put them on Eleazar his son, Aaron died there on the mountaintop. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. When all the congregation saw that Aaron had died, all the house of Israel wept and mourned for him 30 days. Dang. Arad conquered. When the Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, the south country, heard that Israel was coming by the way of Atharim, the route traveled by the spies set out by Moses, he fought against Israel and took some of them captive. So Israel made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will indeed hand over these people to me, and I will utterly destroy their cities." Then the Lord heard the voices of Israel and handed over the Canaanites. Then they utterly destroyed them and their cities. So the name of the place was called Hormah, dedicated to destruction. Lit. Then they set out from Mount Hor by the way of the branch of the Red Sea called the Gulf of Aqaba to go around the land of Edom. And the people became impatient because of the challenges of the journey. So the people spoke against God and against Moses. "Why have you brought us out of the land of Egypt to die here in the wilderness? For there is no bread, nor is there water, and we loathe this miserable food." The bronze serpent. Then the Lord sent fiery, burning serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many Israelites died. So the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord, so that he will remove the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people. Then Moses said to Then the Lord said to Moses, "Make a fiery serpent of bronze and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten will live when he looks at it." So Moses made a serpent of bronze. Oh gosh. That is not what I meant to do. Okay, there we go. So Moses made a serpent of bronze and put it on the pole. And it happened that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he looked to the bronze serpent, he lived. Oh, I can see where this is going as well. Maybe not, actually. Now the sons of Israel moved out a camp at Alboth. They journeyed on from Alboth and camped at Lai Abarim in the wilderness facing Moab towards the sunrise. For there they set out a camp in the Wadi Zered. From there they journeyed on and camped on the other side of the river Arnon, which is the wilderness that extends from the boundary of the Amorites. For the for the river Arnon is the boundary of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. That is why it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, Waheb and Sophah, and the wadis of the Arnon river, and the slope of the wadis that stretches towards the site of Ar, and leads to the border of Moab. From there, the Israelites went on to Beer. That is the well where the Lord said to Moses, "Gather the people together, and I will give them water." Then Israel sang this song: "Spring up, O well, sing to it, the well which the leaders dug, which the nobles of the people hollowed out, which the scepter and with their staffs, with the scepter and with their staffs." And from the wilderness, Israel journeyed to Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahalil, and from Nahalil to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley that is in the field of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looks down on the wasteland. 2 victories. Then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, "Let me pass through your land, and we will not turn away from the road into field or vineyard. We will not drink the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway until we have crossed your border." But Sihon would not allow Israel to pass through his border. Instead, Sihon gathered all his people and went out against Israel in the wilderness, and came back to Jahaz, and he fought against Israel. Then Israel struck the king of the Amorites with the edge of the sword, and took possession of his land, the Arnon to the Jabbok, as far as the Ammonites. For the boundary of the Ammonites was strong. Israel took all these cities and settled in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all its towns. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and had taken all his land out of his hand, as far as the Arnon. That is why those who use Proverbs, I guess that means wisdom, say, "Come to Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and established, for fire has gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It devoured Ar of Moab, and the lords of the heights of the Arnon. Woe, judgment is coming to you, Moab. You are destroyed, O people of the god Chemosh. Moab has given his sons as fugitives, that is, survivors of battle, and his daughters into captivity to Sihon, king of the Amorites. We have shot them down with arrows. Heshbon is destroyed as far as Dibon, and we laid them waste as far as Nophach, which reaches to Medeba. Thus, Israel settled in the land of the Amorites. Now Moses sent men to spy out Jazer, and they overthrew its villages and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. Then they turned and went up by the way of Bashan, and Og the king of Bashan went out against them, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. But the Lord said to Moses, "Don't be afraid of him, for I have," that says do not fear him, "for I have handed him over and all his people and his land to you, and you shall do to him just as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon." So the sons of Israel whooped Og and his sons and all his people badly, until there was no survivor left to him, and they took possession of his land. Balak sends for Balaam. The Israelites journeyed and camped in the plains of Moab, on the east side of the Jordan River across from Jericho. And Balak, the king of Moab, the son of Zippor, saw that all the Israelites had done what had all that the Israelites had done to the Amorites. So Moab was terrified because of the people, for they were numerous. Moab was overcome with fear because of the sons of Israel. Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this horde will lick up all that is around us, just as the ox licks up the grass of the field." And Balak, the son of Zippor, was the king of Moab at the time. So he sent messages to Balaam, a famous prophet diviner, the son of Beor at Pethor, which is by the Euphrates River, and the land of the descendants of his people, to call for him, saying, "There is a people who have come out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the surface of the land, and they are living opposite me, living opposite me. Now please, come, curse these people for me, for they are too powerful for me. Perhaps I will be able to defeat them as and drive them out of the land. For I know your reputation, that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed." So the elders of Moab and of Midian departed with fees for divination foretelling in hand, and they came to Balaam and told him the words of Balak. Balaam said to them, "Spend the night here, and I will bring word back to you as the Lord may speak to me." So the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam that night. God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam said to God, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent word to me. Hear this: the people came out of Egypt, cover the surface of the land. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight against them and drive them out." God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You shall not curse the people of Israel, for they are blessed." Balaam got up in the morning and said to the leader of Balak, "Go back to your own land of Moab, for the Lord has refused to let me go with you." The leaders of Moab arose and they went to Balak and said, "Balaam refused to come with us." Then Balak again sent leaders, more numerous, and men who were more distinguished than the first ones. They came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus says Balak the son of Zippor, I beg you, let nothing hinder you from coming to me, for I will give you a very great honor, and I will do whatever you tell me. So please come, curse these people of Israel for me." Balaam answered the servants of Balak, "Even if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot do anything, either small or great, contrary to the command of the Lord my God. Now please, you also stay here tonight, and I'll find out what else the Lord will say to me." God came to Balaam at night and said to him, "If the men have come to call you, get up and go with them. But you shall still do only what I tell you." So Balaam got up in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the leaders of Moab. The angel and Balaam. But God's anger was kindled because he was going, and the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. Now he was riding on his donkey, and his two servants were with him. When the donkey saw that the angel of the Lord standing in the way and his drawn sword in his hand, the donkey turned off the path and went into the field. But Balaam struck the donkey to turn her back towards the path. But the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path of the vineyards, with a stone wall on this side and a stone wall on that side. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pressed herself against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against it, and he struck her again. "Dude, you got your foot crushed." The angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn, either to the right or to the left. That's scary. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam, So Balaam was angry, and he struck the donkey a third time with the staff. And the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times?" Then Balaam said to the donkey, "Because you have made a mockery of me. If there had been a sword in my hand, I would have killed you by now." The donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your donkey on which you have ridden all your life until this day? Have I not been accustomed to do so to you?" And he said, "Nah, nah." that entire that entire thing was just, I don't know, that was just funny. He said, "Nah." Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed his head and laid himself face down. The angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to stand against you because your behavior was obstinate, and contrary to me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away from me, I would have certainly killed you by now and let her live." Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the way against me. But now, if my going displeases you, I will turn back." The angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you shall speak only what I tell you." So Balaam went along with the leaders of Balak. You're walking after that? You're walking after that? Wow. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to the tent of meeting. Not tent of meeting. What am I talking about? He went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the border at the Arnon River, at the farthest end of the border. Balak said to Balaam, "Did I not urgently send word to you to call you? Why did you not come to me immediately? Am I really unable to pay you?" So Balaam said to Balak, "Indeed, I have come to you by now, but am I able to say anything at all? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I shall speak." And I got rebuked by my donkey. And my donkey crushed my foot. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep, and sent some to Balaam and to the leaders who were with him. Then it came about in the morning that Balak took Balaam and brought him to the high place of Baal. From there he saw a portion of the Israelites. Well, that was interesting. Now I know that Numbers 22 is the story where the prophet gets rebuked by a donkey, gets his foot crushed by the donkey, and then has an argument with the donkey. This is under the assumption, though, that you believe the Bible. All right, God bless.